speaker is speaking from the Effective Coaching Manual about researching a topic and presenting it. And Theresa Mills is going to tell us today about how many of us have heard of MS, but not everyone really understands what it is. She's going to share her experiences and what she's learned about this misunderstood condition. And her speech is 7 to 9 minutes. It's titled, What is MS? What is MS? Theresa Mills.
About 8 years ago, I was walking around the neighborhood in Scripps Ranch, and my toe caught something on the sidewalk, and I fell. And I'm not talking about silly, oops, kind of tripping that you would laugh at your friends about. I'm talking about a full face plant, scrape my hands and scrape my knees kind of fall. Well, I looked around and I had just moved from abroad. And so I looked at the sidewalks and I thought, well, they're a little bit uneven. I suppose my foot could have caught on something. And so I just went on my way. But over the coming months and the coming year, it kept happening. I kept tripping. And the more I tripped, the less I walked. Now I started looking information up about this kind of tripping, and there was something called foot drop. And foot drop is basically when your foot isn't lifting properly. And so it's easy to catch corners of things and catch little raised bits on the sidewalk. I had sciatica at the time in my lower back, and I read that that could be a side effect of sciatica, the foot drop. So I went to my doctor, he referred me to a physical therapist, and the physical therapist worked on treating my foot drop and my sciatica. Well, that went on for quite a few months, but it didn't seem to help. And it was only when I started a new job and I tripped 5 times at work over the course of about 6 months that I thought, okay, what's going on here? And so I talked to my doctor and he referred me to a neurologist. Well, the neurologist did a series of tests. He watched me walk. He checked my vision to make sure I didn't have a brain tumor. And he checked my reflexes, which were a little bit hyperactive when he tapped my knee. I saw the look on his face when he tested my reflexes, and it kind of made me take note. Well, he said, it's possible. These are all kind of indicators of MS, but I can't be sure. So what we need to do is you have some MRI scans. So he scheduled me for MRI scans. Over the next 2 weeks, I had an MRI scan of my brain, of my cervical spine, and my thoracic spine. And what those MRI scans would tell is if my brain or spine had lesions. And lesions are basically scar tissue that occurs with damage from MS. So I went back to the neurologist, and lo and behold, I had 1 lesion on my brain and a few lesions on my spine. But he said, oh, that's interesting because they look really old. So it doesn't seem like whatever it is active. It could be something else besides MS. He said, but let's do a spinal tap because that's the true indicator of the final indicator of MS. So a week later, I went back and I had a spinal tap, which if you've never heard of that, you basically lay on your side for 20 minutes and the neurologist inserts a needle into your spine. And you have to lay perfectly still. What they're looking for, it's basically a slow drip, drip, drip. And they're extracting cerebral fluid, so fluid from your brain. After the spinal tap, that's when it kind of started to hit me, and I cried. I had to lay down for a couple of days because when they take spinal fluid from cerebral fluid from your brain, it can give you severe headaches because it takes your brain a couple of days to replenish that. So I laid in bed and I cried and I just kind of got on with it. And I read a lot about MS, but I still wasn't really sure. Well, when I went back to the neurologist, he confirmed the diagnosis. You have MS, he said, And I said, well, what does that mean? What kind? And he said, well, the truth is, I can't really tell you that. We just have to kind of watch the disease progression. And so I went on my way with some muscle relaxers that I take twice a day and with a lot of vitamins, prescriptions for vitamins, because people with MS tend to be deficient in vitamins such as vitamin D3. So was I shocked when I got this diagnosis? Well, first of all, I've kind of had years to get used to it after doing a bit of research over the years. But what surprised me was how shocked other people were. I think people still have the notion that MS is a death sentence. It sounds so shocking. They imagine that I would be wheelchair bound or that I would be bed bound and that I was going to die a slow death. Well, at first I thought the same thing until I continued to do research because I'm a big believer that knowledge is power. And so I'm going to share with you what I learned about MS. Well, first, before I tell you what MS is, I'm going to tell you what it isn't. MS isn't a death sentence. In fact, 2.5 million people worldwide are living with MS, and 400,000 in the United States alone. In fact, you probably know someone with MS. Well, I know you do. Yours truly. It isn't a guarantee of a disability. The fact is, according to the MS Society, 2/3 of people with MS continue to walk. And the most important thing, it isn't the same for everyone. I've looked up a lot of stories about people with MS, and they all say the same thing. Everyone has a different experience. Some people have mild symptoms, some people have one-time symptoms. Some people experience brain fog and severe fatigue, while others don't. Well, there's a reason for that. But let me tell you what MS is first. MS is an autoimmune disorder in which something triggers the immune system to attack the insulation around nerves and slowly destroy that insulation. So basically, you have a nerve and it's got this insulation around it called the myelin sheath. And for some reason, the MS triggers your immune system to attack that myelin sheath. Now, that's not deadly. What it means is the nerve signals from your brain to the rest of your body slow down. And so it takes your brain longer to process information. So for example, with my weak leg or my foot drop, it just took longer. My brain wasn't processing that information like it should in sort of record time. And of course, what happened, the less I walked, the worse it got because I was not using the muscles in my leg. The MS Society says that the onset is typically between age 20 and 50. And that unfortunately for us in women's, at this time of women are 2 to 3 times more likely to get it than men. So you're pretty much off the hook, men. So what causes MS? Well, that's the real kicker. They just don't know. They say it could be environmental. It could be the result of a virus. It could be genetic, or it could be stress induced. The truth is, they call it an autoimmune disorder, which is kind of a catch-all for something they don't really understand. But they are doing a lot of research on MS. I'm sure all of you have heard of MS. And there's so much being done, which makes it no longer a life sentence, a death sentence, or a guaranteed disability. March is actually National MS Awareness Month, and the color for MS Awareness Month is orange. So if you see people wearing an orange ribbon around, that's why they either have MS or they're supporting someone with MS. All right, so you know what MS is. Is there a cure? At the moment, there are treatments available. There's disease-modifying medications that can actually slow the progression of the disease. There's diet and exercise. And a big one is reducing stress, which I truly believe is a huge cause of MS. There's also physical therapy, which has been my go-to. I go to physical therapy twice a week to improve my gait. I no longer trip, and I no longer experience the muscle weakness. I still get spasticity in my leg in the morning, but I've learned techniques from my physical therapist of how to work that out, and I've gotten stronger. There's also something else that my neurologist and my physical therapist and I have talked about because I've made such improvements over the last year, and that's neuroplasticity, and that's the brain's ability to heal itself. So if you see someone wearing a red ribbon this month, I ask you to please support them with their MS and know that they have hope and there eventually will be a cure.